Hi, Nick.
Hi,
We're back.
we're back. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm good. I've got energy for
Hey.
this always.
Yes,
Yeah. Uh,
always.
it's a Wednesday, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have sleep debt anyway.
That's what it is. Yeah. I just need like 5 solid hours of sleep. But
Yeah.
I did splurge and buy 3 books this week. So I also
Oh,
like torn between reading and sleep. So
mm.
we'll
I
see.
started a new novel this week. No, no, last Sunday.
Yeah.
And
Any good?
I'm torn between reading and watching Netflix and sleeping. So that's why I'm in sleep debt. It's
Yeah.
a juicy fiction for a change, not a business book. So.
Thank goodness. Come to the dark side, please.
I'm trying, although I'm like halfway through 5 different business books. So I'm like, oh,
Brain. My brain. See, the cheat with business books is YouTube, and you just do the I need an overview, a visual overview of this book, and it's usually someone drawing a cartoon, and they give you like the whole cliff
yeah,
notes in 5 minutes.
good idea. Good idea. Should have
Yeah,
told me that before I spent all that money.
sorry. But on that,
Well,
fiction is good.
since I last saw you, I colored my hair,
Looks great.
changed my nail color,
Yeah. Ooh,
and I'm wearing a dress today. So, new woman.
you must be in the office.
Age crisis be gone. I am. I'm in the office.
I'm in the office. I put on clothes.
I'm out of my active wear today for a change.
No comment from the side. No comment, but it's cool. It's totally cool. So we are in I can't remember, part 3 of the
Yes.
long and short of it for performance. And we're going to talk about competencies, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. So I did a lot of talking last week. So I'm going to say, Nicole, what are your thoughts on competencies and how they tie into performance? You want to start?
Mm. Yeah. I mean, what are we calling them in different organizations call them something different, right? Like capabilities, competencies, whatever you want to call them, craft expertise, whatever you want to call them. Essentially, it's a good framework and a strong tool to help people really work towards what is it that matters for this role in this company
Mhm.
and what do I need to do to become proficient or good at this competency at this level. Remember leveling from last week. And what is it that I need to do to be prepared for the next role?
Mhm.
So I'm a big fan. I'll take a step back and think about competencies where um, I think I'm a big fan of in terms of how the startup ecosystem is attempting to look at competency frameworks and introduce that in the context of continuous learning and growth and development and promotions and all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, clarity in terms of what we care about in this organization. I'm a big fan of all of that. I think back to like decades ago again, um, and I think back to like large corporate and layered organizations. Think about healthcare, for example,
Mhm.
where competencies mean a whole different thing to startup. And I want to kind of talk about those two different worlds because we have a diverse group of listeners and watchers, viewers,
Yeah.
that I'm conscious we're always talking about startup and scale up, which is great. And we should keep doing that. But I think linking back to a world where competencies at every level meant that there was a strict guideline in terms of whether you were allowed to do something to a patient, what you can and can't do in terms of, in relation to a human being. That was a whole different conversation in terms of how that influenced our learning and development
Yeah.
plan, how that influenced how we recruited, how it influenced the culture that we drove, the difference between the various professions. If you're a nurse in theatre, what competencies did you need to become a nurse in ICU? What competencies did you need to become a nurse in palliative care? And the list goes on and on and on. So that was kind
Yeah.
of my early experience in terms of how regulated and organized and strict, that is. It's similar in terms of my engineering experience with trains and the various competencies in terms of, for example, take the role of an electrical engineer
Yeah.
and the competencies or the level of assessment that goes into making sure that you can safely, use your skills or demonstrate the competency of working on train lines and making sure you're not causing accidents. So a big part of my brain thinks about this as a very serious topic
Mm-hmm.
around you're performing your role to a great level of quality. You're given the opportunity to learn from the best and be assessed to be, competent for making sure that you're doing your job well and you're not harming people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, translating all of that into a scale-up startup SaaS world, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely not as regulated or as serious, and the assessment of a competency is not as rigorous as what I've used to in the past. And it doesn't need to be. I
Yeah.
think it's important to if you're watching this, to think about what's the right size for my company in terms of what sector I'm in, how regulated am I, how big or how small, how global or not global am I, and then design your competency frameworks and programs and the learning development that sits alongside that, I should say, is fit for purpose and it's the right size for the right time. And please, again, I think we've said this a couple of episodes now, don't over engineer any of that
Mm-hmm.
just to justify the existence of a P&C department. Like, make sure it's making people, leaders, and employees' lives easier.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to the ultimate goal, which is we're helping the company achieve its OKRs or goal or mission. Um, that's important. Keeping that in front of mind is really critical. Um, I I think the big thing for me in terms of what's on your mind and the link to performance and the link to salary and the link to reward, and we talked about the various parts of this system being very, very much connected. But for me, I, I always endeavor to drive a culture of growth and learning rather than let me tick these competencies so I can get my next pay
Mm-hmm.
increase or merit increase. And understanding that, of course, people care about what they get paid. We live in a tough economy. Let's not be, let's not sugarcoat this. But for me, there is performance and skills and competencies that drive my ability to do my role. That's definitely linked to my salary, and my performance is linked to my salary increase or bonus or whatever's comp structure you've got going on. But the bigger focus is on competency for the point of learning and growth and continuing to be excited about my current role and my
Mm-hmm.
future role. So for me, competence is more about engagement
Yeah.
rather than the sugar hit of I've got a salary increase and that sugar hit wears off and now I'm looking for my next salary increase.
Yeah.
It's much more intrinsically profound than that. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Ah, you had so many gems in there. A couple of things that came to mind. So the first one is it has to be specific to your organization. I think sometimes people will go on like levels.fyi or progression.fyi and go, okay, I'll just like carbon copy someone else's. But that's when you end up over architecting because it's like, well, this is unique to their company. And so what is it that's unique to your company that
Mm,
regardless of the role, you need a certain skill, experience, or attitude towards your work. And how does that apply then to all roles? And how can you build that out from level 1 to 5 or management level 1 to 4, whatever it is? Uh, I am a bit old school in the sense that I do think leveling and competencies were traditionally built to create transparency around compensation, which has gotten very murky, but we're getting there again. And the thing I disliked, especially early in my career, was like, why is years of experience the thing? And I used to really dislike that, as most junior people do, because they want to grow quickly and get the sugar hit, as you said. And
mm,
so I'm like, okay, well, that's signal data. And so I typically think about in the context of performance, you've got your levels, and then within your levels, you have competencies, which, to your point earlier, are not a tick box, like, oh, I did the thing, I led a cross-functional project, tick it off the box. It shouldn't be, because then people will create and fabricate work that is not aligned to your goals. And that's the watch out. But your competencies, whether it's a skill, an attitude, an experience, or a piece of knowledge, that should be the depth of expertise that someone delivers when they do the thing on their job description, the position description. And so I would say it shouldn't be as straightforward as you look at it and go, oh, I know exactly what that means for my role. Because most of the time it takes a manager to take your position description and that descriptor of the competency and say, for your role, this is what that means. And this is what excellence looks like. And it goes back to clear expectations, which we've talked about before.
Yeah.
So I get excited about it though, because I think building them are fun, and it doesn't have to be rocket science. Like you could literally just do some pretty basic ones like Buffer. I always reference Buffer, but they have a really great one on their blog, and it's with reference to tying ropes. Like if you're a level 1 at this company, you're learning to tie the rope. Like if you're a level 3, you're learning complex knots, and like you might have spent your whole career tying knots. Like they've got different analogies that can be really helpful for people so that they're not just chasing the next thing. And then the only other thing I'll mention there, I think that with competencies, it's really important for managers to be part of the build. Because oftentimes when handed a tool, even though it's easier, they'll be like, oh, this is kind of helpful, but I don't really know how to use it. And they just let it sit. But if they're part of the build, they're more likely to reference it. And you can do it in a creative way where, you get it 80% of the way and then bring them together and they do the last 20%, where it's like the technical aspects of the role, if they want to add that into the company aspects. That can be a really good way just to not make it take 18 months in startup land to try and launch one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's so true. I think having built a few from the ground, like from a blank sheet of paper, and I know you've built many from a blank sheet of paper. My two pieces of advice would be look at your company strategy, your values, your mission, your purpose, understand truly what competencies matter to you. Like if you do a quick search on what competencies are or what capabilities are, there's hundreds of those. So you can't just have a menu of everything. It'll just overwhelm people. So pick your, I don't know. For me, I try to stay in the lane of like 9 or 12 capabilities, and I've seen others with like 3 or 4 capabilities, but then with like really good descriptors underneath, 3 or 4 sub things, if you like. Nothing too onerous. My favorite thing to do though is which is the second piece of advice, link them back to company values and behaviors and clearly demonstrate how that at every level is what is the expectation. So it feels very overwhelming and daunting to look at like just a blank page and say, I'm going to build a company's or my company's competency framework, but you'll quickly find you have a lot more information at your fingertips than you think you do. Just crystallizing and distilling and getting the gems out of every source of content that your company's generated is it's an art. It's a true art. What do you think about that?
I would echo, especially your second piece. I always start with values. So I think about individual contributors and managers, and let's just use managers. I'll look at what are the manager behaviors. There's a pretty stock standard set. You're not recreating the wheel with management. But with that, you should have every single one of your values represented in the way you have your leaders lead. And so maybe you have a value that is, direct but kind or something like that. And it's all about the way you set expectations, the way you give constructive feedback. And you can mirror that in your competency set level over level. So I think, starting with values and making sure they're entwined and asking what's missing. And that's my second piece of advice would be to do a listening tour and not use the word competency at all. Because sometimes it scares people. They're like, what is it? They're like Googling what's a competency. And I was there too early in my career. And so rather, I would just have candid conversations with managers and say, when you think about promoting someone, what is it in here internally that you're calibrating to know that they're ready? And just hear what they have to say, because it's fascinating. A lot of time you'll get the gems. I'm doing a listening tour at the moment, and the thing I'm thinking about already is every single manager I've talked to, and there's been about 7, has said we teach on the job skills and we reward a culture of people saying, I'll try that and I'll put my hand up for it. And so like immediately I'm thinking capacity, like finding capacity to say yes without burning out is a huge thing that's
Nice.
common among them.
Mm-hmm.
And then also a culture of learning, but how do you distill that into someone's willingness and growth mindset? Maybe it is growth mindset and the want to take on more. Not everyone does, and that's okay, but like that's instilled in the way that they think about promotion culture. So I think it's, yeah, starting with those 2 things, plus the other thing you said at the very beginning, is really helpful just to solidify from that blank page, where do we want it to go? And I would agree, if you're 8 to 12, I always think like, hopefully you don't have 12 values. That's the other litmus test. If you have 12 values, this is the time. We'll do another chat. Yeah, 3 to 5 maybe, but like start with your values, see what's encompassed, and then you probably have another 4 or 5 that you add on that are common across all your functions. And that keeps it really clean and simplified for people to use. So
you make it sound so easy.
It's not.
I love it.
We should create our own. That'd be fun one day. The long and short of it, competency set. You must like tiki drinks, erotica music. You must be
like, yeah, must be willing to overshare on camera on recorded episode.
Must not care if anyone watches, really.
Yes.
Because as long as you're
must
having fun.
your mind. Yeah.
Totally. So I think it's there. I think we could do it.
Oh.
Well, this is fun. So going into next time, we've talked about performance in general. We've talked about leveling. We've now got competencies. So we've got total rewards next. So like, how do we think about performance in respect to rewards and compensation? I'm excited.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
Nice. It definitely will be 4 parts. Let's find out if it's going to be 5 parts.
We're not going to be able to cover talent review and calibrations. That's going to be part 5. Talent management, part 5. We're locking it in. Locking it. Maybe there's
locking it in.
I want to add a 6th.
Lucky we're recording, so we remember what we're locking in.
Hold us accountable if you're listening.
Yeah, please.
Well, it's always fun and great to see you. Thanks so much for sharing, Rain.
Thanks for joining me in the luau.
Oh yeah. Bye.